In the first video in this playlist, I showed you how to get NBA court data into QGIS, and that's what I've got on my screen now. If you want to get up to speed on that, just check out the first video in the playlist. In this one, I'll show you how to load some shot data. NBA shot data is available via the API, but lots of people have already downloaded it and shared it. And one of those is this guy, Dom Samani, who is a basketball analytics coordinator for the Pelicans in the NBA. And he's very helpfully downloaded and shared NBA shot data in CSV format year by year for 20 full years from the 2003-04 season up to the 22-23 season. And if you look at his GitHub page, which is linked in the description, you can see you can also grab the entire data set in one. And it tells you all the different columns it's got in it. It's got the season, it's got the player ID, it's got the game date, shot made or not made, all those kinds of things. If you're a basketball fan like me, you'll know what these mean, but we'll go through it even if you don't. The idea here is you learn about mapping in QGIS, about how to query and filter data, and also just how to get up to speed with the different methods that you might need for mapping loads of other things. But it is essentially location data, just a location within a basketball court. So what I'll do here is I'm just going to take a CSV file and I'll do it for one of the years. So let's take the 03-04 season. And if you're not used to it, GitHub can be a little bit confusing. So I'm not logged into my GitHub account here just to show you what would happen if you want to download it. So I'll click on the 2004 shot CSV link. It takes me here. It'll say, sorry, you can't view this, view raw. If I hit the raw button, I can see the actual numbers. But if I hit the download button here, it will allow me to download into my NBA folder that zipped CSV. So I'll hit save and I will go to the folder. And because I'm on a PC rather than a Mac here, I'll right click and I'm going to extract this data. I'll just extract it here. And I see that shot CSV file. So that's what we're going to load in. But for now, I can move these windows out of the way. And just so we're acknowledging the source here, here is Dom's X page. So that's who has done it for us very nicely. It makes it a lot easier. Okay, so how do we get that CSV file as points into QGIS? We're going to click on the Open Data Source Manager button. It's the one on the left hand side. Looks like 3 post-it notes and a plus. Then we want to go not to vector, but to delimited text, because the CSV is a delimited text file. Then we want to click on the Browse button and just browse to where we saved it to. In this case, it's in my NBA folder, so I can click NBA 2023 shots.csv. The reason I'm not getting you to load in the full data set for all 20 years is because it's over 4 million individual shots and it'll probably slow your computer down. So let's just look at a single year of 2023 and I'll click on open. Just be sure that when you load it in file format, it should say CSV. The record and fields options, you shouldn't need to change anything here, but it should look like mine does. It probably will anyway. In geometry definition, the point coordinates is what we need to use. And the X field is location X, so LOC X and LOC Y. These are the coordinates of individual shots on the court. Now, we're doing this in a piece of mapping or spatial analysis software, and I've done this based on this EPSG 4326 coordinate reference system. It doesn't really matter if you were mapping it at a very local scale. You could maybe create your own coordinate reference system for a basketball court, but this works fine. But make sure the geometry CRS says EPSG 4326. If for any reason you can't see it or you can't find it, you can click on the little select CRS button and you can type in 4326 in this box and then you'll see it there. In my case, it's already there. And if you do this the points for the shots will be in the right place. If you don't do this, they won't be. Okay, so you see a preview of the data, season 1, season 2, and so on. One thing you will notice is when you're importing this data, the date format is a bit messed up, so it imports as a string, but we can look at how to fix that. Everything else we can see, it's a made shot or a missed shot, action type, jump shot, cutting, dunk shot, 2-point field goal, 3-point, all the kind of stuff. If you're a basketball fan, you'll know about. If you don't, I'll explain it as we go along. Okay, if I click add and then close, we can see all the shots adding. Now remember, if you had a look at the first video, you'll know that I rotated this. I like my NBA court shot data to have the basket at the top, so I rotated it down the bottom right 180 degrees. So just so you know, when you're mapping NBA court data, it's all mapped as if everyone's always shooting towards one basket. Obviously, in a game, at different halves, you shoot at different ends, but that wouldn't make sense for mapping court data. So these are all shots. Let's just right-click the NBA shots data in the layers panel, and I'll click on show feature count. That tells us we've got 217,000. So we're not going to do too much just now, but if I right-click this layer again and go to filter, we can filter by player name, by all kinds of things. So I will do that in a second. But before that, I'm going to actually double click on the layer. So I double clicked on the layer name. And what we're going to do is just very simply, I'll go to symbology. I'll go to categorized. And the value field drop down is where I'm going to choose shot made, true or false. So that means the player made the shot or the player missed the shot. So if I click on classify, we have false for a miss and true for a score. Let's make the misses the false color. I'll double click it, click on simple marker, and I'm going to change that color to maybe that red. You can do whatever you like. And I'll click it again, and I'm just going to drag the opacity down to like 40%. I'll click OK. I'm going to drag and drop from that color patch to this one. That's the outline color. I'll double click on the true dot. I'll click on simple marker because that's where I can change the fill and stroke color. Click on the drop down, change it to a blue. Actually change the opacity to 40% as well. And I can drag and drop between color patches with the left mouse button. Click OK. Don't worry about this all other values thing. There are no other values, so you can just leave that. Click OK. And then we get misses and makes, and I can turn them off. So I can turn, these are all made shots where it says true. These are all misses. I'm not sure why that's not coming on. Sometimes you'll find weird stuff does happen. So the false ones don't seem to come on in my machine for some reason unless I also turn this on, but don't worry about that. And if I want to query an individual shot, I can use the information button to identify features button, and I can click on any of the individual dots. And I can see that shot there was by Najee Marshall from the Pelicans. It was a backcourt shot. 78 feet was a distance. So the unit in this data set is feet. NBA court measurements are in feet. So that's 78 feet. It was a missed shot. Obviously it was a 3-point field goal because it was very far away. If I turn these off and turn them on, I can see the longest shot in the NBA in 2023 that was made was from really far away. It was Zaire Williams, backcourt shot 79 feet. And the really cool thing with this is sometimes I look at the data and think, oh, is that really real? Let me check. All you need to do is Google it and you'll find it on YouTube. So sometimes I like to look at this and think, oh, is that data right? How can we validate it? How can we check it? Well, January 22nd, 2023. That's what the date says. Let's have a look at the shot. So there we go, off the backboard and in at the third quarter. So not a bad shot at all. That was the longest one that year. So that's just getting the data in. We can begin to do loads of things, but for now, I'll just right click and I'm going to filter it. I'm going to go to player name. I'll double click player name and then it adds it down there. Then I'll hit equals. And if I hit all, it should list all the players. So long as you've got player name selected and you hit all, it's going to list them all. Let's search for Steph Curry. Found him. Double click and go to OK. And what we're going to get here is we're going to get all the shots made in that season by Steph Curry. If I click on the table, you can hit F6 as well to open that, the attribute table. We can see it's 1,133, and obviously you can see the pattern, very much loads of 3-point shots. And the longest one was that half-court one. This is regular season data, and it does not include individual free throws. So that's how many shots in the course of play Steph Curry took that year. So that's just an introduction, getting the data in with a CSV. We'll look at more stuff as we go through, but that's your court and your points and how to query stuff and how to view the makes and the misses.